I should put on mute.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Okay, so the couple of announcements. The first thing I want to say is that WESOC this year will be celebrated on May 3rd. So it's a Sunday, May 3rd. Put that on your calendar, although the actual full moon in Scorpio will be on May 1st, but we will celebrate it 2 days later on May 3rd. Second, um, okay, so I've been having problems channeling, as I said last week. Uh, the Galactic Region Council that gives me the yearly channeling and the prediction for the year always come around between December and Christmas. Sometime before that, sometime after that. And because I was busy publishing the book and there were other things that were going on in my life, I was unable so far to get the actual channeling. And I've been trying to figure out, and past January, up to about 2 weeks ago, I was, it's not that I didn't, the connection was not made. The connection was made, and at moments, once the connection were made, all of a sudden I was asking myself, what's going on? Because the connection petered out. Like I was walking, I remember one time very specifically, walking toward the park, and suddenly I heard the voice, and I heard the few sentences that were not my words because of the way they have a very specific way of speaking. And as it was being coming in, I'm like, oh, so that it's coming in. When I got back home, I opened, I sat at the computer trying to start to channel it. I channeled maybe one or two sentences. I couldn't get anything else. Static. And this has been happening, and I couldn't figure out why until I begin to do the practice that I'm telling you that we are doing, which is to listen to the pitch and the hiss that comes when we stand in the rest and the stillness of God. And what I've begun to be aware of is that I was not. There was a energetic dissonance. Whatever is in the future was so disturbing to me that my energy body understood it and was willing to accept it, but my cognitive conscious self was not ready to hear it or to scribe it. So that cognitive dissonance blocked me from receiving the channeling.
Mm.
Okay? And I had to, when I realized this, I realized, okay, so there's a whole bunch of, and during the, and again, as I said, sometimes I go into that rest and the stillness of God and listen to the sound. I don't have an agenda. I just sit in the rest and I let the rest, whatever shows up out of this emerging awareness, just shows up. And what it showed me is that I was not neutral about a whole bunch of things. For example, if somebody was upset with you, for example, the past 4 or 5 years, I had students or people online that said things about me that I was unhappy about. I didn't realize that on some part of my heart, I was resentful and almost upset. Although on the surface, I was like, it doesn't bother me. These people are nothing to me. I don't care. But I felt a certain way. I felt unnecessarily attacked. And I had to do the honopuno to these people, to this situation, to all the things for the past 5 or 6 years that somehow unconsciously I was being resentful to. I was not neutral to. I felt victimized by. I felt it was unfair. And even and so in the process of doing this and doing the Honopono over and over and over and over again, I was eventually able to now be neutral to everything that was kind of like making me feel unappreciated, unwanted. And I know that the book, in its current format as I release it right now, as it's released right now, as I said, the first book may have been, there's a lot of things in the first book I didn't say. I finessed. I was very cognizant that if I was writing the book, that the audience, most people in the audience, was not ready to hear everything that I was actually teaching when I was in class with all of you. Okay? And I was very careful to exclude a whole bunch of things. In this book, I excluded nothing because I was guided by God to this disclosure to say the truth, nothing but the truth. Because the time for transformation and change is too short, and there is no time to finesse and to kind of like put a happy face on things that may be slightly confrontational. And so I just said it. And I know the book is unsettling, will be unsettling for some, particularly for other teachers, because I have revealed and uncloaked a whole bunch of things about different levels of ascension, and particularly for the teachers who may or may not be sexually or otherwise abusively using their position of power as a way to have one up on their students and in their circle of influence. I talked about this openly in several chapters in the book, so I know that people may feel uncloaked because I've said the truth. So all of that is going to create certain kind of feelings toward me, and I have to be prepared. As a matter of fact, the book, Janice and I were really ready to publish the book months before that, meaning since February. The actual copyright came in February the 8th. And it took that long to publish it because I've been praying every day, lighting candles and praying every day, asking God for forgiveness and for protection for over 10 months, because I felt that something was going to happen. Right? It was not a comfortable feeling. And so all that is to tell you that after I became neutral, then I began to be neutral to the Galactic Region Council, which is the collective that I'm calling to ask for the channeling. I said the Ho'oponopono to them over and over again. After 3 days, it happened before. I began to feel them, sense them, and they were around me, and eventually I began to channel. So the channeling is almost done. I'm just putting the final finishing touches. There's some beginning of it that's very intense, but there are other parts of it that are absolutely extraordinary. The year we're going to have is a year of purification and also an acceleration, a quickening and acceleration in time. So it's about karma, the planetary karma being accelerated by time. And so if you're doing the work, then it's great because it's going to be wind behind your sails, because it will accelerate your growth. But if you're not doing the work, if you're not serious, and you're kind of like you're a dilettante and you're kind of like lily dally, you're smelling all the roses, it's going to hit you really hard. Because karma, when you're feeling the correction of karma, it's never pleasant. And for the people who are contrary to the growth, the evolutionary growth of the planet, they're going to have a real hard time because karma, the correction and the repair of karma will hit them. It will hit them. And we need to understand that we're not supposed to take this personally, because and although we will take it personally, because particularly when your money is getting affected by what's happening around the world with all the world leaders going crazy. And the moment that happens, you begin to feel unsafe, you begin to feel insecure, you begin to feel, can I eat? Can I pay my bills? And it's going to cause all kinds of insecurity. But the conclusion of the channeling is that if you stand fast in your practice, none of that will touch you. And and it's kind of like there's going to be loud things happening, like chaotic things happening, and you have to somehow manage to toe a thin line, okay? A very thin line that will hold you close to your heart, where you are being a perfect expression of God stillness and peace. And you need to radiate that inside of you, and you need to also broadcast it to the world, because that's the counter to the chaos that's being created by these weird and strange karmic corrections that are going to be happening. Now, having said this, hopefully by the end of next week, we will be sending out the channeling to everyone on the email list, and everyone will be able to receive it. Now, having said this, I want to also share with you and continue to have a conversation about the practice that I'm asking you to do. Now, I want to talk first about the seat. I've talked about this last week, but I want to go deeper into this. In the Kabbalah, in ancient time, all spiritual beings, like, for example, Gautama Buddha, the first Buddha, when he ascended and became enlightened, it's because he sat under a Bodhi tree, a gigantic old tree in India, and for 48 days in stillness and in silence, the practice I'm trying to make you do with the listening of the hiss of the sound, which is to remain in complete stillness and silence. And he did this for 48 days and 48 nights, and he became enlightened. That seat and that location is consecrated and holy. In your home environment, you have to find a location that will become consecrated as it becomes the same place that you go to for the practice. Because as you sit, and you're going to have to test it out to find out where that location is. And you might have two locations. There might be one in the interior, one in the exterior. If you have a garden and you have a special place, a tree that you want to sit in. And by the way, in those old ancient writings and stuff, it was a rock. It wasn't a tree. Those old patriarchs would sit in a cave or in a rock. And when they were in that place became consecrated and holy. And I'm going to go further. In ancient kingdoms, the emperors, the kings, the pope, when they sat in the throne, because it wasn't a throne, it was a rock originally. It's the rock that they carved. For example, in England, the throne that the king and the queen sits on is of solid rock that was carved to become the throne. And that rock and that stone is the seat. What I mean by the seat is that when you are talking and you're away from the seat, you talk as yourself, as Pierre, as Janice, as Esther, as Bobby. When you go and sit in the seat, you're now we. You're no longer I. Because it's become you and the throne. And meaning, when you sit in that location, you have direct contact and channel with God. It is important for you to understand this because you're creating this in your home environment at this moment. What happens is that when you go sit in that place, you dim the light. For me, I have to use a wool cover because I always get cold. It might be the reverse for some of you. It might be just you getting hot. But I'm Peter. I'm Vata in Vedic astrology, so I'm always cold. So I have to put a wool cover over my leg. Even during the summer, I have to bring a wool cover and put it all the way under me because my temperature is going to drop. And then, as I do the torsion field, For each guardian that comes in, they're sharing with me in the dimension that they're in the peace, the serenity, and their connection to the blessed field as they understand it in their dimension. So they're trying to guide me to go from singularity in 3D, trapped by the Zerapin and the of the demiurge, to hold me into 3D, the illusion of the 3D reality, as a separate single individual. And as the first guardian comes in, the first guardian blesses me with an expansion into a fourth dimensional awareness that they have within themselves, that they project as a gift of service and generosity. And as that is projected toward me, I am now moving from being singular to now being a plurality in 4D. Then the next guardian comes in 5D. So I'm moving back and forth because I go back again to myself in 3D, and I'm expanding now, going back to being now a plurality in 5D. Then 3D, and then 6D, 7D, all the way to the 15th dimension. And as this is happening, this is why I count with my fingers. Because what happened at some time, because the change was so abrupt from me, because when you go back into your body and you ground in the core of the earth, you go back to being yourself on earth. And then the next guardian comes in and elevates you. And all of a sudden, you're so big and so stretched out that so you're going back and forth, you're going in and out. There is a sensation of expansion and contraction. And that sensation going back and forth, if you're trying to intercede and pray for somebody, if you're trying to pray for the planet, that's the sensation you must feel. If you don't feel it, you're not broadcasting. And I'm talking about energy now. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about energetically. It's the sensation that you're being stretched out and you're coming back again. And as you're going like this and you're floating, basically, that sensation of floating or being expanded is what you should be feeling. And the reason I'm saying this is that when you go to your seat at the same location and do this 2-3 times a day, or 1 time a day in that same location, and you do it over day by day by day by day, every atom and molecule at the seat are going to be consecrated. The seat itself, if it's a wood chair, if it's a stone chair, whatever it is, whatever that location is, if it is tree you're sitting under, every time you go for the moment you get your wool blanket and you're about to go to sit there, and you sit, you automatically, by the first week or second week, you automatically feel your consciousness shifting, immediately going into plurality. You don't even have to go to the whole practice. Your consciousness begins to be transported, because the portal that this is creating at that location is there. It is there in no uncertain term. And more to the point is that it will change all the molecules and the atoms of all the objects that are around you, even the air that you're breathing, in that very specific location, will be altered and changed. Because you're in the church, in the teaching, they used to call you, when somebody's in the throne, they used to call it ex cathedra. So when you're in the seat, you're ex cathedra. It's you and God and your connection to God, expanded all the way back into the essence of being, and Dharmata. And by the way, the pitch we're hearing, that's that pitch is you being permanently, you were never disconnected. The disconnection created by the Zerapin is an illusion. If you can hear the pitch, it's because you are permanently, vibrationally linked to the monad, and there is no separation. It is important for us to get this and understand that it is a tremendous thing to have that. And what's going to happen is that because the torsion field is so big, as you keep going in and out, and you're basically cultivating and sanctifying a holy sanctuary, a portal in your home, with the practice that you're doing on a daily basis. Neutrality, rest, stillness, and a direct connection with God. But not in the way that we were taught by the church to a direct connection. And the connection is that you're inside of God, and God will take care of you. Like it did for me, for example. I went in that blessed field multiple times, and all of a sudden I was like, the reason I'm not channeling, it gave me it answered. I was not posing the question. I just sat and said, it's gonna come when it wants to come. And all of a sudden it told me, you're not neutral. You're not neutral. That's why you're not receiving it. You're partially neutral, but there's a whole bunch of little things that you're holding, that's holding you back because of you felt a certain way about this, you felt a certain way about that you didn't express verbally, but that are holding you back. And that revelation, I didn't ask. The field brought it to me. When you sit in that, where with the allowing the pitch to basically guide your consciousness, it's going to create all these unbelievable synchronicities where insights and breakthroughs and things that were holding you back are going to just pop open, and you're going to know what you need to do to correct them. Yes, karma is being accelerated, and this is part of my karma to make that correction, but I have to do the correction. The karma is going to vanish and erase by itself. I have to forgive myself for being slightly resentful, for feeling like a victim, for whatever it is that I was feeling at the moment. I have to forgive myself for this. And then when I needed to connect to the Galactic Region Council, I have to ask them for forgiveness for being a little bit late in receiving the message. Because I was going through some things. Right? So we need to be this idea of ex cathedra, the idea of it is the Sephiroth is Hesed, and the angel, I forgot the name in Hebrew, but the angel there actually mean something like the seat or the rock. It is the seat or the rock that, not the angel, the archangel, it's the seat of the rock where you sit upon to receive, to be connected to God directly. And that's how all the kings and the queens and even the Pope have claimed their authority to rule over men. Because when they are in the seat, it is we. This is why a lot of time the queens and the kings are speaking when they are enthroned. They talk we, meaning the crown in them or the God that they are channeling in them, as opposed to I, the king or the queen. When they say we, it's not just because they are posh. It's an acknowledgement of the seat. And when an ascended master or an enlightened being is speaking, and they talk in we, that's exactly what they mean. Now what's going to happen is that your entire house, because after a while this thing is going to keep going and going and building because you're cultivating this. The energy is going to get so, the pressure, the spiritual pressure and the connection is going to be so big, you're going to walk around and molecularly through your inner sight, you will begin to see that the molecule in the air will change. The animals, the plants that are around you, the painting, the objects, everything is molecularly changed. They are enhanced at the highest level because of the practice. And I'm going to say something else as well. As you keep doing this, and it may have happened to you already. A lot of time, students or clients call me asking me for advice. And because I'm doing this practice all the time, you see the afterglow, after you do this for a while, as I said, the seed is right there. You've been doing it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. The energy is so built up that you just have to walk past by it or sit on it casually, not even trying to channel. You could feel immediately your energy, that in and out, start happening. And immediately you're back in the seat, because the seat now, the portal that's created is downloading information for you. It's downloading goodness. It's downloading blessings. Right? And as you do this, what's going to happen is that you're going to, why I'm mentioning this is that there is an afterglow that remains once you've done the practice. And the afterglow will remain until you go out of neutrality. Until something happens in the real world. You know, I'm posting online all the time because I want more people to get the information. And I'm using mass media as I should to broadcast or work. But the negative of this is that all the craziness that's happening in the world will show up also on mass media, even though I don't play the videos. But the titles are there. And the moment you read the title, it inserts itself somehow as a mental poisoning in your general field. And I have to unshackle all these things. Because they're all about some form of fear. What is this leader doing now to hurt us? So what is this person doing now? What's going to happen to our money? What's happening to healthcare? What's happening to our food supply? What's happening to the planet? What storm is coming? All the things that, and these things can take you out of neutrality because they will trigger primordial survival fear. Although survival, unlike what Dorian was saying, it's not just survival of the fittest. Because the other things that actually hold species, the evolution of species together, is something that's more important than survival, and that is interdependence. Darwin only saw a small fragment of it. When you are in that blessed field, you realize this. There is no separation. We are interdependent, like a flock of starlings that are going in murmuration. We are all interdependent on each other. And we let the morphogenic field, the torsion field, take over and bless all of us equally. So, a lot of times when my clients or my students call or ask for guidance or for whatever it is that they're going through, they're talking to me, although I am let's say I do the practice in the morning, they're calling me in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and I'm talking to them. And as they're talking to me, I can feel the same in and out. And I realize the seat is with me. I want you to understand what I'm saying. The seat is not geographically tied only to the chair. The seat is mobile and can move with you. When they're telling me their burden, I realize they're not talking to Pierre, but they're talking to the God that's in me. The God that's inside of Pierre. And when they're telling me, they're talking to the blessed field that I have access to. Through the sound, through all the practice I've been doing. And as they're talking to me and telling me their burden, their struggle and all that, and as they're telling me this, I can feel the blessed field immediately, because now I have their permission, already interceding in their behalf. Immediately. Because whatever you take in the torsion field manifests instantaneously. The blessed field is already interceding, blessing them and removing the burden, or if it was energetic or whatever it is, doing what it needs to do. Because I don't tell the blessing field what to do. I bring the issue up and I put my hand behind my back and I whistle and let the blessed field take care of what needs to be taken care of. So what happened is that as they're telling me their burden, I can feel the burden being resolved, the issue being resolved. And what do I say after I'm done? Because human being will not believe you when you tell them God is already taking care of it. God was already listening. It wasn't I that received your message. It was the God in me that received the message. And your problem is already solved. They will not accept it. So what do I say to them? Give me 10 minutes and I'll do a connection for you. And I'll let you know what happened. But it's for their benefit. 10 minutes goes by, I don't have to do anything because God already took care of it. The blessed field already took care of it. After another 15 minutes, I text them back and I tell them, this is what I realized, this is what God did for you, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh my God, I could feel it already. Thank you so much. But it was done immediately as they were telling me the burden. I want to share this with you because I want you to understand that this God is alive and God is real. And that fire, that energy, once it's incorporated inside of you, it moves with you. I have shared this with you before that at times I feel, I'm sorry for the energy and the emotion with which I'm talking here, but I can feel that energy moving through me. Okay? I'm the way I experience it. Sometimes I feel like I have a flashlight above me, because the light of that energy is with me. When I go in the train or in the bus or I step in the train, I feel it diminishes. The moment I step outside, it's like a giant spotlight from Hollywood just is on top of me. That energy rises again. It's with me. It walks with me. And it will walk with you as long as you're doing the practice the way I'm telling you. I'm not special. I'm just a little bit more disciplined than most people. That's all. I'm a Capricorn after all. I'm a little bit more stubborn and disciplined. But all of you are disciplined because you've been with me since the beginning. And so the idea of the connection and the understanding that the seat is mobile and it can actually move with you. And you are the seed. You, after a while, you and the seed become one. There is no separation anymore. The other thing I want to mention as well is that that seed and that location is for you and for you only. A lot of the time, like when we went to see Amma's seat, this is true of all the teachers, no student is to sit on their seat. in Gayatri, which is where the temple that's built around the tree where Buddha ascended in India, that whole thing is behind. You cannot go there willy nilly and just go under the tree and run around and go after butterfly. This is a holy shrine. The same way you and I cannot go and go sit on the throne, the seat of the King of England. I wouldn't want to sit on that seat anyway because of their karma. I wouldn't want to. This is not something I would be interested in doing at all. But anyway, I want you to understand how important it is to do this cultivation, because what's going to happen after a while as well is that I was talking about this morning, and Natividad was saying that she's beginning to realize at first, because of the increase, the depth of the practice we're doing now, that she thought at night she saw a white fog before she go to sleep. That this white fog was around her. This is, by the way, it's not a fog. She's inside the blessed field because it's white. And now she's realizing it's no longer a fog. It feels like snowflakes. It looks like snowflakes. The atoms and the molecules are taking shape and configuration. I have shared this with you before, that there are times because of this practice, when I go to sleep at night, sometime before I go to sleep, I feel light coming from inside of me, keeping me awake. I am illumined from within. My interior is illumined. And that illumination sometimes blinds me temporarily for a moment. It's a strange radiation. It's like I'm glowing from within, like the atom and the molecule inside of me feel like they're glowing. It's because I'm doing every atom, every molecule, everything inside of me is changing. Because I am in that rest and that serenity and that peace of God so often that it's changing not only my environment, but my molecule inside of me, molecularly, DNA-wise, everything is changing. And so what will happen is that as we keep going and doing this, there's going to be a time. I remember even upstate, there were one time I remember I was watching a meteor shower. It was the middle of the night, around 1 o'clock in the morning. I got up to look at it, and I went outside on the lawn and I saw it, blah, blah, blah. And I went back inside and went to my bed. And as I lay down, again, the glow inside of me was created. And the next thing I know, the ceiling opened up. I could see right through the roof. When you begin to see the atoms and the molecule, even after the lights are turned off, the shaman call this night vision. It's a special state where your eyes and your sight extend. Even when it's dark and closed, you can still see. And you're seeing other things. Any questions, any comments? We need to be very cognizant that the sanctification that we are doing by the simple practice. So make sure that you go to that seat that you have dedicated to do the practice on a daily basis, that same location, because it will begin to create the vortex there. and that vortex will grow, and it will eventually, as I said, overtake your entire house, and it will expand into your entire neighborhood. And all the plant and the trees, the squirrel, the bird, everybody in that environment will be blessed. There are times when Spirit and God guides me to move and go to a specific location outside in the park, and to sit in a very specific location. And people come and sit next to me. I don't have to talk to them. I have to let them, I have to entrain them into the broadcast that I'm emitting. Because the seat is with me. And that will help liberate them and unburden them. I have sat in the waterfront meditating long enough to tell you that I didn't know it was happening until I began to open my eyes at the apparently right location, that a lot of the runners that are running in front of the bench where I'm doing my meditation, many of them, when they get in front of me, they actually stop and they bow down and then they keep running. I remember there was an instance in which I went to one bench. There was a woman in the bench to my right, and she was reading. And then I sat down and began to do my practice. It took about an hour. And, after I did the torsion and everything else, I sat in the rest and the pitch and all of that for a long time. It was a beautiful warm day. It was stunning. The sun was shining. I felt great, and I felt a real connection, and I was expanding. As I began to do the practice, I heard somebody come and sit to my left as well. When I was done with the practice, I opened my eyes and I looked to my right. The woman that was on the right of me fell asleep. She was reading. The book was on her lap. She fell asleep. The woman to my left was completely laid out on the bench. She was not even sitting. She was laid out on the bench. And when she noticed that I was done, because I moved my leg and etc., and she heard me, she opened her eyes and she smiled and she stretched like a cat that just woke up from a deep nap, and she smiled at me and she said, "Thank you." This is what's happening when you're broadcasting. So the practice of the ex cathedra, of the seat, and doing the torsion field in the manner that I'm describing, with, again, listening to the pitch as a way to connect back into the blessed field and that blessed field. So the women, Natividad is experiencing now the blessed field. She's not experiencing it in her dreams nor in a direct meditation. It's when she turned off her light at night, she thinks she's in a fog. She's in the blessed field. I'm saying this to you because the way you enter it might be slightly different than the way I enter it. I want you to understand the flexibility of it. Okay? And when you're broadcasting, if you have to do an intercession with somebody, for somebody, you need to be very aware that the in and out sensation must be occurring. And the moment it begins to happen, it means you're now you're no longer as a singularity, you're now a plurality, and more importantly, you're in entanglement with the entire field or murmuration of every sentient life form that exists in this multiverse. You're in murmuration. And if you have to do intercession for somebody, you have to pray, you have to ask for special blessing, and etc., this is the right time to do it. And the moment you do it, you're in. Okay? So the difficulty, again, I keep saying all the time that I feel like I'm blinking my eyelid because I don't have the power to cure any disease. I've had at least 3 clients so far that have come to me with infertility problems, and their problems were solved. Not by me, because I don't have that kind of power. I brought them into the field. And I let the field take over to do whatever healing, whatever was necessary to heal them. And it's very humbling because, how do I describe this? There's a part of your ego that says, because when you realize all of a sudden you bring somebody has a problem, example I can give you, I had this one client that came in, she couldn't have a period, in her 30s, for whatever reason, past 3 years, doctors, couldn't have it. And after 2 hours with me, she menstruated on my table. She wanted to have more kids and all that. She was, and when that happens, first of all, I was freaked out. That's the honest truth. I was freaked out. I thought I broke something inside of her. Okay, I did something wrong. That was the first thing that went to my mind. And the second thing is that when I began to realize what actually occurred, she kept saying, "You heal me, you heal me, you heal me," and she ran to the bathroom and all that. And when I realized what happened, I then realized, I said to myself, did I do this? But consciously, all I ask is for God to heal her. That's the only thought I had for 2 hours. I didn't tell God how to heal, what to heal. She told me she had this issue, but I focused in the area. It was a hands-on healing. I focused in the area for her, around her pelvis, around her lower back, and all that. But not once was I pushing energy to make. Not once did I ask God, make her menstruate. You know how they tell you in the light community you're supposed to do a vision board and they're very clear about your intention, and none of that. The only intention was very abstract. God heal this woman. Blessed field healed her. So I am tangentially connected to the healing that I can support, but it is not me doing the healing. As Jesus said, it is not I, but it's the Father through me. I don't have that kind of power. So my ego is in check, and I have to, once this is done, I have to remain unbelievably humble and grateful that I didn't have to, because if I think of people who are coming with these kind of big problems and how big it is, I would cower, and the problem, if I think of the problem will become an issue because I wouldn't allow the solution set to come in. Because typically speaking, somebody with those kind of problems cannot be solved. 3 years she's been going to the doctors, to all kind of specialists, and nobody could solve it. I had another client, it was 6 years for her trying to conceive. In vitro, all kinds of things. Nothing still. She couldn't conceive. All I said is I asked God to bless them. blessed them with a child. 3 weeks later, they were pregnant. 2 rounds on in vitro didn't work. So when you realize this, you become extremely humble and you have deep and profound gratitude that you're connected to this gigantic and immense and infinite morphogenic field that can do all kinds of things. And that you don't have to lift, carry, climb, or push anything. Because what it feels like when I'm interceding for them, that I'm blinking my eyelid. And in fact, while I'm doing this for them, I receive a blessing myself. Because I have to be so unburdened to be able to intercede for them. Any questions, any comments? It's kind of hard to say this because we have to go through a process of unlearning. Because in 3D we are taught that we are in lack and we are undeserving and we have to do in order for us to get. Whereas when you go into that state, you just have to bring a general intention in the proximity of what it is that you're trying to achieve, and the field will take care of everything else. It's an opposite muscle. Be aware that, okay, here is the other thing as well to be aware of. When you are in that state as you're doing this practice, you're going to be visible. Meaning everywhere you show up, people will look at you in the most curious manner because energetically they're going to realize that your God walks with you. That you're God. And they're going to look and smile at you and acknowledging you. And at first it's going to, particularly when you're used to being invisible, it's kind of like disconcerting. The first few times I thought my zipper was open. You know, I had a spot on my shirt. You begin to imagine all kinds of things. When people are looking at you, smiling at you as if they know you. They know you. They know the God that's in you. They know you. Because they are acknowledging the kindness and the goodness that's in you. You need to be aware of this and not interpret the attention in the wrong way. And because you're in neutrality, and as long as you remain in that neutrality, no one can attack you. No one can attack you. Because whatever attack would have to come, whatever, even though you're visible, it would become 0 point before you even arrive to you. And as you're broadcasting and you're being so big, you're radiating all that stuff out. It just would not be able to touch you. Now, having said this, we still need to make sure that we are not, as I said before, exposing ourselves to all of the fear in mass media and all that stuff that's going around, particularly in the news cycle. I don't have a TV, so I don't really watch the news. But as I said, because I am present on mass media, I will see all kinds of things that will attempt, and sometimes they tempt me because the title, a lot of them are clickbait. The title is so, clickbait. Is that really true? And a lot of it, by the way, is not even true. They are fake news. They are actual videos of experts talking, etc., behind news panel and everything else. They're all AI created. Completely untrue, completely fabricated. So we need to monitor our consciousness a lot. If I click here and there because it sounds too good to be true, a lot of time when I did some research, you get out of the video and then you do a Google search, normal Google search, to see if that event actually occurred. A lot of time, no, it didn't happen. It's completely fake. It's AI created. Somebody is doing clickbait to make sure that you click on this thing because they have a channel and every click that every time you play the video, they get paid a few cents. They don't care about the accuracy. If you're able to do this for the next month, your entire life will be completely different. Because everything in your life will move into a miraculous synchronicity, kind of like event after event, where everything will kind of like unfold and unfold in the most miraculous and impossible ways. And the people around you, because you're doing this broadcast, the big energies changing your home, the plants, the animals, the neighbors, everybody will benefit from what you're doing. I remember when Kathy Geary she used to live in the apartment next to me. She used to say to me, I don't have to do my torsion field because her bedroom and my bedroom are back to back. She's like, I can feel the energy when you're doing your torsion field. You just take me. Because and this is the last thing I want to talk about. It's the idea of entrainment. When you're praying and you're interceding for somebody, you have to go into that state of being big and broadcasting and being immense and going in and out, going from singularity to plurality. And as you do this and you think of the person in your field, you will locate them in the blessed field wherever they are energetically around you, and then you can begin to think of whatever it is the intercession should be for them. If it's a healing, if it's an energetic support, if it's an issue that they're having, that they're asking for help, bring that up to the field and ask for healing to be done. Ask for a repair or an improvement in their condition. And then hands off. Let the field take care of it. You may notice things. Sometimes, since I'm a big empath, if it's something that's stuck in their physical body, I will feel it in my physical body as well. In my knee, my back, wherever the problem is, my eyebrow, I will feel it. And then all of a sudden, and again, at that point, you're not getting infected. Since you're an empath, you're sensing where in their body they have stuck energy. And spirit is trying to guide you by pointing it out in you and saying, as a mirror, this is where they're having that issue. And all I have to do is go back to that location in my body and say to my God that's telling me this, thank you for this information. And then poof, it disappears. One after the other, just go poof. Whatever the tightness, sometimes I can feel pain very sharply because that's what they're feeling. But the moment I'm acknowledging it, I go, thank you for letting me know, poof, it just goes away. It disappears. And then I report to them afterwards when it's done that there was attachment there was knots there was this, there was that, and it was removed. And the less I know about the client, the better I am as a healer. I had this situation very recently with a woman. I was asked to do a healing for her. She's retired, and I did the healing. I don't know. They're like, should I? Don't tell me anything. I don't need to know. Everything I reported and all the stuff that were removed, and dead on. And the way I felt it is that in parts of my body where they had the same problem, in resonance, I felt the problem that they were having. And then the field removed it. When I said thank you, poof, it's removed. The field removed the burden. Sometimes what you have to tell the person is not physical. It's something that they have to do. They have homework to do. Sometimes they have to change their attitude. Sometimes they have to balance their karma. Whatever knowledge or information you need when you're doing the intercession, that information will come to you. Sometimes the field asks me, they need to come back 2 more times because a lot of times it should be one healing and one healing alone. But most people have so much shame and undeservedness that they sometimes cannot accept that a miracle that big could happen with them, for them, like this in Islam. They need to walk on their knees and hands in 21 church. They need to do, they feel they have to suffer in order to deserve the healing that could be done like this. It's them that always this thing because they feel undeserving of the healing. So a lot of time as the healing is happening, I can feel the field saying to me, they need 2 more healing after this. Or 1 more session. Because they're not going to accept it the way it is. Any questions, any comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do our closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you notice. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian begin in the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through your core, exiting outside of your head, and going into the top of the fourth dimensional body while creating all around you the torsion field of neutrality. I enter the rest and the stillness of God. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian, beginning at the top of the fifth dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of your head, moving through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around you. The torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, counter-rotating, coming in from the core of the earth, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the sixth dimensional body while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, coming in from the top of the seventh dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and into the core of the earth and creating all around me the torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and the stillness of God. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian, counter-rotating, coming in from the core of the earth, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the eighth dimensional body and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, coming in from the top of the ninth dimensional body, passing through the top of my head while rotating clockwise, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and into the core of the earth, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 10th dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 8th guardian, coming in from the top of the 11th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, moving through the top of my head, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going through the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. deep I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the night guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 12-dimensional body and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian coming in from the top of the 13th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through my top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head and going into the top of the 14th dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian coming in from the top of the 15-dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. I am in the rest and stillness of God. Listen. Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. what kind of insights, expansion, healing, and knowing are coming from the blessed field. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're all welcome. That was a very profound and deep thing, and I, let it continue to radiate the goodness and broadcast it out.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank you all for listening. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also if you're on Patreon, thank you for your support. Deep love, everyone, and I'll talk to you next week. Blessings.
Good night, everyone. Love you.
Thank you.